Hi everybody, it's Sarah the Attic Stitcher, and today is January 2nd, 2026. It's a new year, it's a new Flosstube. So if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back and spending some time with me. If you're a new viewer, I'm glad that you're choosing to spend some time with me as well. I hope that for whatever holidays that you all celebrated this past month, that they were restful and peaceful and enjoyable. We celebrated Christmas together with me and my family, and it was a really nice time to be together. But now we're back in the new year, and I'm ready to show you what I've been working on. So let's see here. Last time I recorded was at the end of November, and I had made the decision that I was going to switch to, instead of a twice a month update, to just doing once a month update. So I had planned at the end of December, so right before New Year's, to record this episode, but you know, the holidays and stuff are just kind of chaotic. So and then on top of that, I spur of the moment ended up hosting an New Year's Eve open house kind of thing. So I had a lot of family and friends over that day. So I just didn't have time to record. And yesterday was New Year's Day, and I kind of just spent that day for myself, me and my housemate. We binged watched all 3 of the Lord of the Rings extended editions. So we were up till like 1:30 finishing up Return of the King, but we watched all 3 of them. It's one of my favorite movie series is Lord of the Rings, and of course the extended editions are really well done. So that was my New Year's. So here I am on January 2nd, and I have a stack of things to show you. So what will probably happen is February 1st, roundabout, I will be posting my next Flosstube. So I'm going to try and do it the first of every month, I think is going to be my goal. So you can still know when to expect me. I'm just a little delayed because of the new year. So, but for today, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 works in progress to show you. I have a start and finish that I also am going to show you, and then I'll share some haul and my plans for the upcoming month. So we're going to start with my start and finish. So this is a project that I both started and finished in the span of time between my last Flosstube and now. And that was Artmishka on Instagram, who hosted a stitch-along, free Advent stitch-along in the month of December. So from December 1st through December 25th, she posted a new portion of the project. And if you have been following my Instagram, you've probably seen this, but here it is finished. So it's a little off on its placement. I had originally oriented my fabric to stitch like this and didn't realize after I'd done 2 days worth of stitching that even though I had oriented to stitch it like that, whoops, I had been holding my hoop to stitch like that. So there's not a lot of margin on this side, but because this was kind of like a low stakes, let's just stitch leading up to the Christmas, I didn't fiddle around with restarting it or anything like that. But this is as she stitched it, other than I added in the 2025 there. And let's see here, I used DMC 321 for my thread, and this is, it's a 32 count linen. I don't know what kind, it's just one that I had in my stash from when I first started stitching and was just kind of buying pieces to do like sample just to get an idea of what it looked like, what it felt like. So, but this is a 32 count linen. It's stitched 2/2, like I said, with 321 DMC. And the 2025 was not on Mishka's pattern, but there was enough space under there. I felt like it needed something, so I added the year to kind of commemorate it. And I kept up, I kept up with the stitch along for the most part. It was only the last few days, I think the last 3 or 4 days, that I actually did not stitch them the days that they came out, because that just got so close to Christmas that I didn't have time to stitch. And so I ended up finishing those last 3 or 4 days while watching Lord of the Rings yesterday. So there's that, my lovely start and finish. So that was a lot of fun to work on, and I'm really happy with how it came out. My plan is to frame it once I take time to measure it and figure out what size frame I need to get. I use command strips to hang up all of my picture frames, so my goal is to slowly start accumulating framed cross stitches so I can easily switch out frames on my wall. So next Christmas season, I can take off one of the pictures that I keep up on my wall year-round that is the same size as this one, because I have a couple of options depending on how I end up framing this, where I can take one picture down and just have a command strip on the back of this and put it right back on that spot. And then I can have an assortment of both my regular everyday pictures that I keep up and some Christmassy ones. So, but anyways, that is my start and finish. That was a lot of fun to do. So I think you can still access this. So if you decide that that's something you want to stitch to, you should be able to look it up. She's on Instagram, and I'll link below as long as I remember as well. So that was my first finish, technically, of 2026. So, all right. Next, we have my works in progress. And we'll just go through the order that I have them sitting here next to me. And so the first one is actually going to be Mirabilia's Winter Queen. I started this in January of 2024. So this is officially entering its 24 or 25, its second year in my whip rotation. January is my birthday month, so this was my birthday start in 2024. And I'll share a little bit more of my birthday plans at the end. So first off, I'll hold it up to where you can hopefully see. I'll try to hold her to where the Christmas lights won't shine through, at least on her. So there she is so far. Pretty much from her waist up, I have done all of the cross stitching. So any of the empty spaces are either where the whisper thread is going or beads, and there are a lot of beads on her. So I'm very excited to keep working on her and hopefully aim for a finish very soon on her, maybe this year. I don't do seasonal stitching very much, so I work on her throughout the year. So let me get her kind of oriented here to where I can show you more focused in on where I stitched. So I mainly stitched this time around in this quadrant of her dress. I've been focusing on filling in by color, so I just fill in all the stitches of a color as far as I can go in the quadrant that I'm working in, and then go on to the next color, because it's really cool to see the folds of her dress come to life as I do that. So it's very rewarding to stitch in that way to me, because doing it all of the one color at a time and then going to the next color and then to the next color. I have glitter all over my face, y'all. I'm seeing that in the camera lens, sorry. Really brings to life the folds. So that's been a lot of fun to do as well. I am stitching her on a 28 count Gothic Lugana by Picture This Plus. Hold on. Brother woke up and he has a thing where if he sees a can sitting, he has to knock it over. This one's almost empty. I was drinking it earlier, so I'm gonna try and finish it before he decides to knock over my Coke can. I had hoped that maybe they would stay asleep while I did this, but that was wishful thinking. All right, next project that I worked on was my cats and flower hats. Teresa. I can't remember who the designer is. Wow. But it's Cats and Flower Hats. I'll put her name below in the description box if you're curious. I can't believe I don't remember her name. But here is the full thing. So there's 4 cats and I am on the last cat. Wow. It's so big that I'm just gonna have to be back here. So that's the full thing. I stitched the silver cat first, and then I did half of the black cat, and then I did this cat on the end, and then came back and finished the other half of the black cat. And now I'm on the orange cat. My goal last year was actually to finish this. I actually wanted to finish both this and Winter Queen before 2026. This is my oldest whip. This is the first project that I started stitching on when I started cross stitching in 2023. But 2025 was such a chaotic year for me that did not happen, which is fine. We are flexible and it's okay to not make goals. These are very low risk goals. But I did make some really good progress on this last cat this past month. So I had already finished all of the pink flowers. I think the last time or pink feathers, I should say. So all of these pink feathers, these 2 big pink feathers, I had finished last time I had shown this. I may have had that little bit of the green hat brim done, but I did get that done. And then I've been working on the actual cat. I've been doing it kind of by object because it's cool to see it come to life in that way. And I decided I wanted to say there's a really pretty yellow lily right there on the hat. And so I wanted to save that for the last thing that I did. So once I finish the cat, I'm going to finish the hat brim. And then there's some like purple flowers that wrap around. And then I'll do the lily last. So, but slowly been working on the cat. Almost done with the cat. I've gotten down to like the last few like dark colors because I went from light to dark. And then I just have to do the nose and eyes and stuff. So it's very kind of confetti stitchy, and I have had to unpick and redo quite a few times with this one. So, but there's not that much left to do. So I kind of hope that by the end of January, I can have this cat done. So it is my hope that when I come back on February 1st to show my progress to you all, I will have another finish. So, but anyways, so that is my cats in flower hats. And I am just drawing a huge blank on her name. So, oh well, I will write it down below. Next, I have UA from Make It Pink Designs. So last time, I think I had just gotten all of my supplies in. I hadn't started stitching her yet. So I have gone down and did my center line, and now I have started stitching on her. So here is my first stitchy update for Princess UA. This is a character from Avatar: The Last Airbender. My heat just came on, if that's what you're hearing. I thought I'd be able to do this before. I apologize. Before it made its round, but that didn't happen. So, but this is a character from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I am stitching this for my housemate. She saw the pattern, she loves it. She asked me what she had to do to get me to stitch it. I said, if you buy the supplies and you don't tell me or pester me about finishing it on any kind of deadline, I will stitch on it. So I have a small start. So here she is. This is just working on her hair. I like to work top to bottom. So like I said, I marked my center and then started. So I've been working on her hair, and it's just been one color, I think, that I've stitched in on her so far. I don't know, I don't use like Pattern Keeper or anything like that. I just use the Samsung Notes app to mark off what I stitch. So I don't know how many stitches or whatever. But I do know that I spent most of the progress I made there was while watching the last episode of Critical Role Campaign 4, which is a live streamed Dungeons and Dragons podcast, essentially. For those of you who might not know what Critical Role is, me and my housemate watch that together. So we've been watching the new campaign, and the episodes usually last 3 to 4 hours. And I had stitched a little bit on it before that, so it might be pushing, and the last episode was kind of short, so it might be pushing right around 4-ish hours of work, which seems like a lot of time for kind of a small start, but there's a lot of counting and double checking and quarter and half stitches and all of that on there. So, and then for the fabric, I'm using a 30 count Zweigart flax linen in the colorway Jakobstad from JacksonFabricArts. She's on Etsy. Love her fabrics. They are so fun to work with, and they're just really pretty colors. So that's UA, and brother is now sitting on the whips, so I will have to disturb him. Boop, boop, boop. Will you? No? Do you want to say hi? He says no. All right. Next up is a new start. I was actually just stitching on this before I sat down to record, so I still have my needle minder and all of that on it. And it is Lunar Cat from Sprouting Lupine. This was one of her final 2025 pattern releases. So she has a shop on Etsy. She's on Instagram. Really cute, really beautiful patterns. And I'm actually going to be stitching this as a gift to give to a friend who had to, just before Christmas, put her cat down because he had a very serious infection. Brother, he had a very serious infection, and they'd been treating him, and he had started improving, but then he unfortunately took a turn for the worse, and they decided to let him go rather than have him suffer. So, but the pattern, he was a gray and white tabby cat. So and his name was Nova. So the pattern, when I saw it had been released, just reminded me a lot of him and my friend. So I'm going to stitch this as a sympathy gift and send it to her. She doesn't follow me on this or anything like that, so I feel fine showing it to you all. So it's just a small start, maybe 30, you know. I think I watched Red Stitchery's Whip Parade, so it was like an hour of work on this, and it's just some stars and then the start of the ear of the cat. So it's gonna be small. It's like finished size is supposed to be like 5 by 5 inches. So I'm stitching this on a piece of scrap 28 count Gothic Lugana that I had, and I'm gonna kind of focus on this because I'd like to get it done and sent to her hopefully by the end of January. So we'll see how fast I can get it done. Anyway, so that is Lunar Cat, Sprouting Lupine. And then my last whip to share with you all today is Rapunzel from Make It Pink Designs. And let me get her, she's on a Q-snap. So let me get her situated here. Kind of bring up the excess fabric so hopefully the lights of the Christmas tree don't shine through on her. I won't take my Christmas tree down till like next week because Epiphany has to pass for Christmas season to officially be over for me. So, but here is Rapunzel. This is a cross stitch pattern from Make It Pink Designs, so the same person who did UA, and it's based off of art from Hannah Alexander artwork. So last time I shared, I had finished like from here, all of this purple and all of her face and hair I'd finished. I'd backstitched and stuff. So what I've added, and this was just last night, is I started outlining the purple of her bodice, because all of this in the center, once I finish the outline, is going to be this purple. And I'm hoping to participate in a Zoom call later this month. So I wanted to have an easy fill-in project ready. So I just need to finish. She has a deep V-neck to this dress. So once I finish that, it'll be ready for fill-in, and I'll save that, and either if I decide to keep working on her before the Zoom call, I'll just move on to a new area, or just once I finish the outline, wait on stitching her until the Zoom call. So anyway, but that is Rapunzel. She's like an Art Nouveau style of Rapunzel from Disney's Tangled, which is my favorite movie. I have a pastel sweatshirt on. I love Tangled. It's my favorite movie. So, hello, brother. Just don't mess with my tree, please. He's been so good. All of my cats have been good. Hold on. When he moved it, he had knocked something under it. So all of them have been pretty good. All three of my cats been really good about not messing with the tree up until like this last week of, ever since Christmas Day. He's been like, I must be in the tree. So anyway, please, brother. Okay. You can sit on the back of the chair. That is fine. Just don't climb into my tree. Okay, let's get focused back again. So those were my whips that I have worked on since I last came to chat with you all. And it hadn't come, I think I had said I had ordered it, but it hadn't come in yet. It was actually quite the journey that this had. But I got Teresa Wentzler's Tradewinds. Let me pull out the preview here. Teresa Wentzler's Tradewinds. Like I said, this had quite the journey. So I bought it from eBay, and she shipped it out promptly after I'd purchased it. I watched it go from the East Coast to the West Coast, stay on the West Coast for like a week, and then make its way back to the middle where I'm at. So it went like bypassed me and went to the other side of the United States and then made its way back to me. So it took it like almost an extra week to get to me. I think the mail system is struggling, especially during that time leading up to Christmas. I think they just had so much influx of online shopping and stuff. But I ordered this. I've been admiring this for so long. I've never done a Teresa Wentzler before. I've gotten a lot of great advice from the Teresa Wentzler Facebook group on getting this kitted and prepped and working on it. And but I've been admiring this for a while. I plan to start it as my new memorial stitch for my dad. He was a Navy man, he loved ships, and this just makes me think of him. So this will be a memorial piece for him to stitch on this year. So I'm hoping to start it this next month. So, I bought the kit, so it comes with the fabric and the threads and the beads. So, I go back to work. Thankfully, my office closes for like the week between Christmas and New Year's, so I've been off for a good while now. And, no, brother. I've been off for a good while now, and, when I go back to work, I'll take this and make a copy of the pattern and also scan it for a digital copy that I can work off of and get it started after I do that. Okay, I'll worry about getting that back in there afterwards. So there's that. So that's that. Plans. So like I said, I will be back on February 1st. So between then, I would really like to be able to get that last cat finished. I'm also hoping to finish the Lunar cat as a gift. And then Monday, I should be getting all of the supplies for my birthday stitch in. So I'm going to be starting something new to show you all when I come back, and it's great. I'm going to be starting Mirabilia's Ophelia. So for the longest time last year, I was thinking that my next birthday stitch, I would get Mirabilia's Queen Titania, which is a beautiful fairy with a pink dress and stuff. She's very pretty. She's definitely high up on my want to stitch list. But when I finally sat down and like went and looked through my wish list of projects that I wanted to start at some point, I felt really drawn to do Ophelia instead. I have been admiring Ophelia as well for her, I think ever since I discovered Mirabilia a couple of years ago. So I bought the pattern and all of the supplies, and I went with a different fabric. So instead of the called for, I did a 32 count Belfast linen in the color moss, which based off of pictures and stuff that I've seen is pretty much the same like vein of green as the called for. It's just got the hand dyed mottled texture on it, which I think fits better because Ophelia looks like she's in the water drowning as she does. So I'm excited to get all of that supplies in, get it ready, and start stitching on it next week. So I feel like I'm very ambitious with my plans this coming month, and that could be the new year kind of excitement getting to me, but we will see how things go. So when I come back in February, hopefully I'll have a finish. Hopefully I may have two. And maybe 2 new starts. I feel like the Flosstuber curse is slowly sinking in. It's like once you start Flosstube, you just keep accumulating whips until you have a bajillion of them. So we'll see. Oh, and February is also my 1-year anniversary of Flosstube, which is pretty cool, I think, that I've done this for a year. Okay, pretty much. You know, I had a couple of breaks, or like 1 or 2 months where I didn't get anything posted, but you know, to be coming back a year later and being like, well, you know, I'm still doing this is pretty cool. So thanks for sticking around with me if you have for the past year. I hope you enjoy and consider sticking around with me for this coming year. I'm hoping to get to do a lot more stitching, and I think that covers everything. So I hope you all have a great time stitching, and I'll see you on February 1st. Bye, everybody.